The words cut through the air like a knife. "Security! Get this filthy beggar out of my store before he scares away the real customers." Marcus stood frozen in the middle of the luxury watch boutique, his worn jacket and 3-day stubble suddenly feeling like a scarlet letter. What the clerk didn't know, what nobody in that gleaming Dallas shopping mall could possibly know, was that the beggar she was screaming at had more money in his pocket than she'd earn in a decade. Before we dive deeper into this incredible story, drop a comment and let me know where you're watching from. And if you love stories about karma and justice, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our content. Marcus Chen had built his fortune the hard way. The son of Chinese immigrants who'd run a small laundromat in Houston, he'd worked 2 jobs to put himself through community college, then transferred to UT Austin where he'd studied computer science by day and coded apps by night. His third app, a revolutionary payment system for small businesses, had caught the attention of a Silicon Valley venture capital firm. By 35, he'd sold his company for $240 million. But money changes you, or rather, it reveals who you really are. And Marcus? He never forgot the nights his mother had cried quietly in the kitchen, counting pennies to keep the lights on. He never forgot the teachers who'd looked past his thrift store clothes and seen his potential. He never forgot the strangers who'd shown him kindness when he had nothing. So when his financial advisor suggested he upgrade his image and move in the right circles, Marcus had politely declined. He still drove his 10-year-old Honda Civic. He still shopped at Target. And he still wore the same brown leather jacket his father had given him before passing away, even though it was weathered and patched at the elbows. "You're a millionaire who dresses like a college student," his sister Jenny often teased him. "I'm comfortable," he'd reply with a shrug. "Why should I pretend to be something I'm not?" This philosophy had served him well until that Tuesday afternoon in November. Marcus had been in Dallas for a business meeting, discussing potential investments in local startups. The meeting had run long, and he'd missed lunch. He'd also been up since 4 a.m., catching an early flight, and frankly, he looked rough. His hair was uncombed, his jacket was rumpled, and he hadn't shaved since Sunday. Walking through the Galleria Dallas, one of the city's most upscale shopping centers, Marcus spotted a luxury watch boutique. His sister's 40th birthday was coming up, and she'd always admired fine watches. He figured he'd browse, maybe find something special. The moment he pushed through the glass doors, he felt it, that shift in atmosphere. The perfectly coiffed blonde woman behind the counter looked up, and her welcoming smile vanished like smoke. "Can I help you?" Her tone suggested she very much hoped she couldn't. "Hi, yes," Marcus said pleasantly. "I'm looking for a lady's watch. Something elegant, maybe with diamonds." The clerk, her name tag read Brittany, looked him up and down with barely concealed disgust. "Our pieces start at $15,000. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at the department store downstairs." Marcus felt the familiar sting of judgment, but he kept his voice level. "That's fine. I'd like to see what you have in the $20,000 to $30,000 range." Brittany's laugh was sharp and humorless. "Sir, I don't think you understand. This is a serious boutique. We cater to a very exclusive clientele." "I understand perfectly," Marcus replied, his jaw tightening. "I'm a customer who'd like to see your merchandise." "Look," Brittany said, lowering her voice but somehow making it even more condescending. "I've worked in luxury retail for 8 years. I can tell when someone's wasting my time. Whatever game you're playing, whatever TikTok video you're trying to make, I don't have time for it." Marcus took a deep breath. He'd dealt with this before, though never quite this blatantly. "I'm not playing any game. I have money to spend. Will you show me your inventory or not?" Brittany's face hardened. "You want to see our inventory? Fine." She pulled out a binder with glossy photos. "This is the Cartier Ballon Bleu with diamonds. $38,000. This is the Rolex Datejust with mother of pearl. $26,000. Happy? You've seen them. Now, I'll take the Cartier," Marcus said quietly. Brittany actually laughed out loud. "Sure you will. And I'm the Queen of England. Sir, I'm going to have to ask you to leave. I'm a paying customer. You're a con artist or a prankster, and I'm done entertaining you." Brittany's voice rose. Michael! She called to the security guard positioned near the entrance. We need assistance. Other shoppers were starting to stare. An elderly couple browsing near the back of the store stopped to watch. A young woman with shopping bags paused in the doorway. Marcus felt heat creeping up his neck, but he refused to be pushed out. I'm not leaving until I'm served like any other customer. I have the money. Oh, you have the money? Brittany's voice dripped with sarcasm. What, you got a sock full of 20s? Maybe a few crumpled hundreds you found. The security guard, a heavy-set man who looked uncomfortable with the entire situation, approached cautiously. Sir, if the lady asks you to leave. The lady is refusing to serve me based on how I look, Marcus said clearly, making sure his voice carried. That's called discrimination. Brittany's face flushed red. Don't you dare. This has nothing to do with discrimination. You can't afford anything in this store and we both know it. Stop wasting everyone's time. Get out of my store, you beggar. The words exploded from her mouth, echoing off the polished marble. Before you scare away the real customers. The boutique went silent. Even the background music seemed to fade. Marcus stood there, humiliation washing over him in waves, fighting the urge to prove her wrong right then and there. But something stopped him. Maybe pride, maybe anger, maybe just exhaustion from all the times he'd had to prove his worth because he didn't look like people's idea of success. Okay, he said softly. I'll go. As he turned toward the door, he heard Brittany mutter to the security guard. Unbelievable. They come in here thinking they're entitled to waste our time. This is a business, not a charity. Marcus walked out, his father's worn jacket suddenly feeling heavier on his shoulders. He should have left it alone. Marcus knew that. He should have gone to another jewelry store, bought his sister a beautiful watch and forgotten the whole thing. But he couldn't. It wasn't about the watch anymore. It wasn't even really about Brittany, though her cruelty had cut deep. It was about every person like her, every person who decided someone's worth based on their appearance, their clothes, their address. It was about every kid like he'd been, walking into places and seeing that look of dismissal, that instant judgment. So Marcus made a phone call. David? Hey, it's Marcus. Remember when you said I should use your services? I think I'm ready. David Thornton ran an exclusive concierge service for high-net-worth individuals. He'd been trying to get Marcus as a client for 2 years. Marcus. Excellent. What can I arrange for you? Private jet? Yacht rental? Front row seats too. I need a chauffeur and a very nice car. Tomorrow afternoon. 2 o'clock. At the Galleria Dallas. There was a pause. That's unusually specific. May I ask what this is about? Marcus smiled for the first time since entering that boutique. Let's call it a teaching moment. The next day, Marcus made a few more calls. One to his attorney, Laura Simmons, who specialized in civil rights cases. One to his friend Rachel, who worked as a producer for a local news station. And one more to Jeffrey Morrison, the regional director of the luxury watch brand that Brittany's boutique carried. Jeffrey, good to hear from you. Listen, I'm considering a significant purchase from your Dallas location, but I had an interesting experience yesterday. Before I make any decisions, I think we should talk. By 1:30 the following afternoon, everything was in place. Brittany was having a good day. She'd made a $15,000 sale that morning, and her manager had complimented her on keeping undesirables out of the store. She was checking her Instagram when the commotion started outside. A sleek black limousine, a Mercedes Maybach that probably cost more than her annual salary, pulled up directly in front of the boutique. The uniformed chauffeur stepped out and opened the rear door with practiced precision. Brittany watched, along with half the mall, as a man emerged from the vehicle. Took her a moment. The clothes were different, a perfectly tailored charcoal suit, crisp white shirt, Italian leather shoes that probably cost $5,000. The hair was styled, the stubble gone, revealing a strong jawline. But the eyes, those eyes she recognized. It was the beggar from yesterday. Brittany's stomach dropped like a stone. Marcus Chen walked into the boutique like he owned it, which, she was about to learn, wasn't far from the truth. Behind him came his attorney, carrying a leather briefcase. Behind her came Rachel from Channel 8 News, camera crew in tow. And behind them came Jeffrey Morrison, the regional director, his face set in grim lines. "Good afternoon," Marcus said pleasantly, his voice carrying through the suddenly silent store. "I believe we met yesterday. I was hoping to make that purchase I mentioned." Brittany's mouth opened and closed like a fish. That is. "Yesterday you called me a beggar," Marcus continued, his tone conversational but his words cutting. "You refused me service, had security threaten me, and humiliated me in front of other customers. All because I didn't meet your standards of appearance." "Sir, I'm so sorry, I didn't—" Brittany started, but Marcus held up his hand. "Let me finish. You didn't know that I founded and sold a tech company. You didn't know that I'm worth more than $200 million. You didn't know that I serve on the board of 3 charitable foundations dedicated to helping underserved communities. And you know what? None of that should have mattered." He stepped closer, and Brittany saw the pain beneath his composure. "I could have been actually homeless. I could have been a veteran down on his luck. I could have been someone working 3 jobs who'd saved up money for months to buy his wife something special. Would I have deserved that treatment then? Would it have been okay to humiliate me, to call me names, to have me thrown out?" "No," Brittany whispered, tears starting to stream down her face. "No, I'm so sorry. Mr. Morrison," Marcus turned to the regional director. "Yesterday I came in as a mystery shopper of sorts. I wanted to see how your brand treats people who don't look like typical luxury customers. The results were enlightening." Jeffrey Morrison's face was the color of old paper. "Mr. Chen, I cannot begin to express how deeply the company regrets." "The company?" Marcus's voice sharpened. "Or just this particular employee? This behavior is absolutely not in line with our values or training," Morrison said firmly. He turned to Brittany. "Ms. Patterson, you're suspended pending a full investigation. Gather your things." "Please," Brittany sobbed. "Please, I have rent. I have bills. I can't lose this job." "You should have thought of that yesterday," Morrison said coldly. Marcus watched Brittany cry, and something twisted in his chest. This was what he'd wanted: vindication, justice, the satisfaction of seeing her understand what she'd done. But standing here, watching her world crumble, he felt something unexpected. Empathy. "Wait," he heard himself say. Everyone turned to look at him. "Mr. Morrison, I don't want her fired." The director blinked. "Mr. Chen, after what she did, she was cruel. She was judgmental. She was everything that's wrong with how we treat people based on appearance." Marcus looked at Brittany directly. "But firing her doesn't fix that. It doesn't teach anyone anything except to be afraid of consequences." He paused, gathering his thoughts. "Here's what I want instead. I want Ms. Patterson to spend the next 6 months volunteering at homeless shelters and soup kitchens, 2 days a month on her own time. I want her to write a public letter of apology that the company can share, acknowledging what she did wrong and what she's learned. And I want this store to implement mandatory training on treating all customers with dignity, regardless of how they look." Brittany stared at him, stunned. "You're giving me a second chance?" "I'm giving you an opportunity to become a better person," Marcus corrected. "What you do with it is up to you. But understand this: kindness isn't optional. Dignity isn't something people have to earn by looking wealthy. Every person who walks through that door deserves respect." He turned back to Morrison. "Can the company agree to these terms?" The director looked like Christmas had come early. Firing Brittany would have meant lawsuits, bad publicity, and a PR nightmare. This solution made everyone look better. "Absolutely. We'll draft the agreement today." Rachel, the news producer, stepped forward. "Mr. Chen, can we interview you about this? This is an incredible story about grace and second chances." "No," Marcus said firmly. "This isn't about me. If you want to do a story, make it about how we judge people and what that costs us as individuals and as a society." He walked to the display case and pointed at the Cartier watch. "Now, about that purchase, I'd like to buy this for my sister. And please let Ms. Patterson make the sale. She could probably use the commission." 20 minutes later, Marcus walked out of the boutique with a beautifully wrapped watch in a designer bag. Brittany had processed the sale with shaking hands, her makeup ruined by tears, thanking him over and over. As the limousine pulled away from the curb, Marcus looked back at the mall. Through the window, he could see Brittany talking to her manager, gesturing earnestly. Maybe she'd learn something. Maybe she wouldn't. But he'd given her a chance, just like people had given him chances when he was young and poor and wearing second-hand clothes. His phone buzzed. A text from his sister, Jenny. "Lunch tomorrow? I want to hear about this mysterious business trip." Marcus smiled. Wait until she saw her birthday present. Wait until he told her the story. The limo merged into traffic, and Marcus leaned back against the leather seats. Tomorrow, he'd drive his Honda to the office. He'd wear his father's jacket. He'd be himself, because the most expensive thing he owned wasn't in his closet or his garage. It was his integrity. And nobody, not Brittany, not anyone, could take that away with a look or a word or a judgment about his worn-out clothes. So what do you think? Did Marcus do the right thing by giving Brittany a second chance? Would you have handled it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, never judge a book by its cover. You never know when that person in worn-out clothes might just pull up in a limousine.